For my people, my tribe, my circle, for the ones who show up, who care, who stay, for the ones who celebrate me, believe in me, support me, for the connections that matter, the relationships that grow. I'm grateful for the love I receive and get to give. My tribe is my greatest blessing. I'm grateful for my inner circle, the people who know me deeply, love me anyway, the people who challenge me, inspire me, make me better, the people who I can be 100% myself around, without judgment, without fear. My tribe makes my life rich with meaning. I'm grateful for the chosen family I've created, for the people who feel like home, for the bonds that were meant to be, for the connections that were divinely arranged, for every conversation, every laugh, every moment. My gratitude for my tribe is endless. I used to think I had to do life alone. I used to believe that asking for help was weakness, but my tribe showed me that connection is strength, that community is beautiful, that I'm more powerful with my people. I'm so grateful for them. I'm grateful for my tribe. They're my lifeline. I'm grateful for my tribe. I'm grateful for my tribe. They're divine. For the people who love me unconditionally, I'm grateful for my tribe. So beautiful, my life is richer because of them. I'm grateful for my tribe, my everything. Thank you for being in my life. I'm grateful for my tribe. You make it right. I'm grateful for my tribe. You make it right, you make it right. I'm grateful for my tribe. My tribe brings out the best in me. My tribe makes me feel like I belong. My tribe reminds me that I'm not alone. My tribe is my greatest gift. I'm grateful for every single person in my circle. I am blessed with amazing people. My tribe is my treasure.
Welcome to Saturday's episode of TLS Talks. I'm your host, Terrell Strayhorn. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode and looking forward to what promises to be a great show. So happy Saturday to each and every one of you. You know how we do it here. We start sharing the link across different platforms so that we get some folks to know that TLS Talks is on, and it's not too late for them to tune in. All right, so if you don't mind sharing across various platforms, you can just drop the link into different groups. I've done the same, and folks can find us there. And there are a couple places on what's this called? Facebook. I want to do. So that is not what I wanted to do. All right, so to get us started, again, welcome to the show. Happy Saturday to each and every one of you. It is Saturday, August 15th. Got a good show for you. So let's start this way. Sometimes, I don't know if you've had this experience, but sometimes life doesn't always send us a warning. It doesn't ask whether we're ready. It doesn't check our calendar. It doesn't care how strong you've been for everybody else. Sometimes life gets real quick. And one injury can change your ability to work, or one betrayal can change how you see family. One loss can make you question your friendships, your purpose, your faith, even yourself. And there's a particular kind of pain that really comes when we've spent years making sure everybody else is okay, only to discover that when you're the one who needs help, the room gets quiet. Everyone gets busy, and many folks are missing. So today in this episode, we're going to be talking about what it means to lose some of the things you thought defined you and still find a way to build again, to bounce back again, to thrive and to flourish. This is not a conversation about pretending everything is fine. This is really, as you all know, we do every single week on this show, this is really a conversation about life. Real talk for real life. And today, it gets real. I want you to stay with me. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Saturday to each and every one of you. It's TLS Talks, real talk for real life.
Every day, millions of people wake up searching, hoping, trying, believing, surviving. Because life isn't always easy. Relationships aren't always simple. Work isn't always fair. Dreams don't always happen on schedule, but every challenge creates an opportunity for conversation. Honest conversations, real stories, big ideas, powerful questions, practical wisdom. This is TLS Talks, hosted by me, Dr. Terrell Strayhorn, educator, psychologist, author, speaker, storyteller. This is more than a podcast. It's real talk for real life.
Listen. This ain't just a podcast. This is real talk for real life. Yeah. When you town it up, use it up, make it clear, make it right. TLS Talks. Yes, yeah. TLS Talks. Pull your chair up, come on in. Come on in. Yeah. Everyday people, where we begin. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. When the world get loud, we talk it out. When life get heavy, we work it out. From the headlines to the real life, this that TLS Talk. This is TLS Talk. Real talk, real life, real life. This is TLS Talk. Real talk, real talk. Break it down. TLS Talk. Real talk it out. Real talk. Inside. It's TLS Talk. Real talk. Real talk. Listen. Business. Life hacks. Hot topics. Everyday walk. Right here. Right now. If you came for truth, you're welcome here. If you came for truth, you're welcome here. If you came for truth, you're welcome here. Say TLS Talk. Yeah. It's Talk. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. It's Talk. Oh. Hey. TLS Talk. Come on. TLS Talk. TLS Talk. Come on. TLS Talk. Come on. TLS Talk. TLS Talk. TLS Talk. TLS Talk. TLS Talk. TLS Talk. Come on. Hey.
welcome back. It's TLS Talks, and happy Saturday to each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in to the show. I am truly delighted to have you with me and looking forward to today's show. All right, so I'm trying to make sure that all of this stuff is posted so that we can have folks join us here in the live studio. If you don't mind dropping a comment in the chat, letting me know where you're tuning in from, what's going on with you today, and we will get started in just a moment. Hopefully you enjoyed our opening segment and our song. Not sure what this is doing. Okay. Okay. Give me just 1 minute. This is a little bit more finicky than it normally is. All right, there we go. Go. Okay. So again, want to welcome you to another really exciting episode of TLS Talks podcast, where we really have an opportunity to curate courageous conversations and promote positive points of view and have real talk about real life. I'm Terrell Strayhorn, the People's Professor, and I'm glad you're here. If you're joining us live, be sure to jump into the comments across any of these platforms. Tell us where you're watching from, or hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share today's conversation with somebody who you know may need it, because I have a feeling this one's going to touch a whole lot more folks than we realize. But before we get to that, and I'm expecting someone to join us, I want to get into today's professor's podium. And today's professor's podium, which is a segment of the show where I really take sort of research, scholarship, psychology primarily, and try to make it practical so that anyone tuning in can listen and learn. And you'll learn the mechanics, like core mechanics of psychology, stuff that I teach my students in classes, undergrad and grad, and you'll learn it right here in the podcast. And so it's time for the professor's podium. As I like to say, class is now in session. And today's lesson, we're going to be talking about you can be strong and still need support. Really challenging this idea that to be strong, one can't need support. And this is really kind of timely because this morning I was working on a project. Sorry, this needs to be fixed. I was working on a project where I have a set of videos I'm creating for kids, because I spent some time with my family and realized that, you know, a lot of kids' videos are not necessarily kids' videos these days. And so the message of belonging, the message of my research and scholarship, this idea that it takes a team, it takes a village, people have the capacity and the strength to do what they're trying to do. These are messages that any kid could learn, but there aren't a whole lot of videos out there teaching it in a way that I think is appropriate, age appropriate. So I've been working on some videos, dropped a couple of them on the YouTube channel. You'll have to go to the YouTube channel to check those out. Speaking of which, if you have not already and you're new to the show, please go to youtube.com, type in Terrell Strayhorn, TLS Talks, whatever you like to do. And if you don't mind, click the like and the subscribe button so that you will know when I go live, and also you can access those videos. If you go to the videos or the short section of YouTube, you'll see those videos there. Anyway, this idea that in the video that I was working on today for kids is bring up this principle of a lot of kids, people think that if you ask for help, you need support, somehow you are not strong, you're not capable, you're not smart, and maybe that's a sign of weakness or failure. And so pushing back against that to help people understand that really smart people ask for help and strong people get support is important. So being needed by everybody is not the same as being supported by anybody. So let me say that again. Being needed by everybody. Everybody needs you. You play an important role in a lot of different ways of life, and a lot of people need you to do things. But that is not the same as being supported by everybody. There are a lot of people who are needed, and a lot of people need them, and they make it abundantly clear that you're needed. But when it comes to your needs and people supporting you, there's not a whole lot of help in that regard. So I want to push back against this idea that somehow being needed is the goal. We all want to be needed by someone. It's important to be needed and to know that you play a role that people value, but there's also the need for support. A lot of strong people build their identity around being the dependable one, the helper, the fixer. I don't know who I'm talking to, but it might be you, the provider, the coach, the leader, the confidant, the prayer partner, the friend, everybody calls. And there's enormous value in that, of course, because everyone needs someone who they can turn to. Everyone needs someone they can, bounce some ideas off of. And so being needed or being that go-to person in the friend group is great. But there can also be a danger to it, because if your entire sense of worth or sense of self comes from what you do for other people, what happens when you need someone? If your entire sense of worth is, I'm so needed at my job because everyone needs me. They need me to run the agenda. They need me to run the meeting. They need me to ask the questions. They need me to create the video. They need me to balance the budget. Of course, that's job security for some people who are in that position for a while. But what happens when an injury makes you stop working? Or what happens when money gets tight? Or what happens when you need help? When the same people who benefited from your strength don't know how or don't choose to support you when you're vulnerable. Psychologically, this is where identity, belonging, and self-worth really collide in my research. We all need to know that we matter beyond our usefulness. So a lot of times when I talk about belonging, people will start talking about, well, I know this person feels a sense of belonging because they're critical to our team. I know this person feels a sense of belonging because they're critical to our family. I know this person definitely feels a sense of belonging because they're critical to this classroom. They play an important role. But actually belonging requires more than that. We all need to know that we matter, but beyond our usefulness, for who we are, for what we bring, for our contributions. So you should not have to earn belonging by constantly producing and fixing and rescuing and listening and sacrificing and playing small and lifting people up. Those are really important things to do as good humans, but that should not be the cost of belonging. And sometimes being forced to slow down reveals things that movement allowed us to ignore. Like if you've ever been out of work or not feeling well and laid in the bed, when you're with yourself, when you have to slow down, you get more time to think, to observe, to take notes. And when you're forced to slow down, whether at work or at home, at church or at play, it really can reveal things that constant movement allowed us to ignore or that we missed. That in our hustle and bustle of moving and going and running, that we miss those who genuinely love us. It's only when we're down, when we're slow, when we're behind, when we're in need, when we need support, that we recognize, wow, look who really shows up, who loves us genuinely, who loves us because of who we are, not because of what we do for them or what they have access to, who truly supports us, not just uses us. And whether we know how to care for ourselves with the same intensity that we care for everyone else, we know that as humans, we all need support. Here are 3 things I want you to remember today about support. Number one is help others, but do not disappear from your own life. Help others, but don't sacrifice yourself, your own needs, your own desires. at the expense of everyone else, because then you end up a person who's, one, you're going to be bitter. Psychologically, humans are not wired to go long periods of time giving to everyone else and getting nothing in return. Even if you think that is virtuous, if you think that is very kind and generous, there is a cost. And if it doesn't show up this week, it'll show up next week. If it doesn't show up next week, it'll show up next month or next year. So most psychological science points to the fact that we should help. We should be altruistic. We should help people. We should give. We should be kind, but not to the expense that it hurts our own life. So don't disappear from your own. Don't downplay or ignore your own needs, trying to meet the needs of everyone else. Number two, reciprocity matters. Healthy relationships cannot really survive forever on one person giving and the other person receiving. It no matter what your religious background is or what your thoughts are about gender roles, relationships are not designed to be one directional. So we really are looking for environments where you're giving, and I'm not talking about love relationships. I'm talking about friendships and familyships and courtships and churchships and leadership. At my place of employment, a lot of people are expecting for me to do things because of my position. My role requires me to do a lot, to take on a lot. I have to make decisions. I have to decide. I have to approve. I have to disapprove. I have to delegate. So there's a lot of work to be done. And a lot of people look up to me to do it. By the same token, there has to be reciprocity to that relationship. And what reciprocity looks like, they're not in position to make allocations or decisions for me a lot of times, but I am looking for something in exchange. So it might be, hey, if you want me to make this decision, your role is to give me complete information so I can make a good decision. Or if you're looking for me to sign a document, my role is to authorize it through the signing of a document. Their role is to make sure that I get the form, I get it in time, I get it complete. It doesn't require, so reciprocity is a part of relationships, whether at home, work, or play. And number two, it's an important dimension of support. Reciprocity does matter. Healthy relationships require both people giving and receiving, whether you're male, female, female, Christian and atheist, supervisor and employer, boyfriend and girlfriend, neighbor and neighbor. One way giving where the other person is receiving all is exhausting, and it's not healthy. It's not appropriate. Three, a difficult season can interrupt your plans without canceling your purpose. Say it again. A difficult season might interrupt your plans, but it doesn't have to cancel your purpose. Sometimes we're being forced to sit down or to stop or to pause or to reset is actually when life asks us to look inward. And I was talking to several friends this week who just find themselves in a moment of sit down season. They found themselves in a between season where they are either between jobs, unemployed currently, but looking. They are just finishing a degree and trying to figure out what's next. They are at the point of, changing careers because they've realize they don't want to do what they've been doing, but they're not sure exactly what they want to do next. So to each and every one of you who I know watch the podcast, and those who I don't know that watch the podcast, who need to hear it, remember that a sit down season might frustrate your plans. It might interrupt your plans. It may delay your plans, but it does not have to cancel your purpose. Your purpose is intact. Your purpose was there before you got the plan. And this season of sit down, the season of between blessings, between jobs, between opportunities, between seasons is exactly designed to turn you inward, not outward, but inward. Ask yourself things like, what brings me joy? How do I want to spend my time? What are my real interests and skills at this point in my life? What's the kind of impact I want to have? And maybe that's the lesson, to know that you are still worthy even when you're not producing, that you still matter even when you need help, and that starting over doesn't mean you failed. It's not something to be ashamed of or to hide or conceal or be sad about, that it can actually be exciting, a new chapter. Now you get to figure out, what is this chapter going to be about? And you get to figure out how you're going to write it. That's the purpose of today's Professor's Podium. And with that, we'll say class dismiss and get ready for what's next. All right. So I do want to talk a little bit more about one of the things that we've realized is that we live in a day and age where time is of the essence. I was in a meeting last week where someone mentioned that time, people often say time is a precious commodity. It's a precious resource, and you don't want to waste it. And you don't, because, time is the one thing that we have a finite amount of. We'll be on this podcast for X amount of time, and then we will be off the podcast. So whatever I want to say, I got to make sure I say it now, because this is my time in the podcast. And so that's why, I learned some time ago, I've got to have a plan for the podcast. I have to have some people might call it like a script. I got to have a outline of what I want to copy. I can't spend the whole episode, sort of guessing at, I want to talk about this, and maybe I want to go here, and maybe I don't want to discuss this. I have to know exactly, to some extent, where I'm going to go first. When does this video come? When does this song come? Because time waits for no one. But this week I heard someone say it this way: time is a precious commodity. But another precious commodity that we have limited amounts of is breath. And it was talking about, they were essentially talking about not wasting your breath on things. You think about how many times we talk about stuff and we will waste our breath talking to people who don't intend to change, discussing matters that aren't really that important after all. And so part of what we've got to be able to do is know the difference between what's important, what's essential, what's not essential, and what deserves our attention and our time and our breath. So, we try not to waste our breath on things that don't truly matter. All right. And that's what we want to talk about here. So I'm going to segue into another part of this. And one of the things I had discovered from a previous episode, and I appreciate those who write on Facebook, LinkedIn, DM me and let me know the kinds of things that are most meaningful to you. So someone was mentioning to me that oftentimes they struggle with knowing how to inspire themselves, motivate themselves. And I sent them a couple of resources. But one of the things I'm going to start trying to do is plug into the podcast a couple of quick videos that will help you understand, just practical steps on getting to know yourself, on believing in yourself, and the like. And so if we're really going to talk about when life gets real quick in a real talk way, one of the things we're going to have to come to understand and come to do is learn how to trust ourselves. And this is what we're going to talk about, because as we reach out for support and we reach out for assistance, it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to need help and to support, and for those who are out there, I had a friend once say, check on your strong people. There are a lot of people who are always there for people, always there for others, always reaching out, but who checks on them when they need support? One. And two, there are a lot of folks who we look up to, older brothers, older sisters, moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, aunties, uncles, the folks who we go to for advice. And periodically, they need support. And of course, they have their own network, their own friends. They may turn to some spiritual resources. But part of what we have to understand is that when lifes, it's okay to reach out for assistance, and support. And when doing that, that it is a good way of, when you have these silent seasons, these between blessing seasons, these silent pauses, whether it's, hey, I just finished a big milestone, I ran a race, I completed a championship, I finished school, I finished a big project. Like I had a really big list of things on my to-do list this week, and I knocked quite a bit of them out by yesterday. And so that sense of accomplishment that comes from finishing all of that is great. But then sometimes you're like, okay, so now that I got all that done, where do I go to next? And usually for me, I need to turn inward. I need an index card. So I can sit down, look at my to-do list and say, okay, now what are the next 4 or 5 priorities I'm going to try to knock out? Anyway, part of this is about trusting others, but also trusting yourself. So we're going to watch this short clip, trusting yourself, then we'll come back and we'll get into the rest of the conversation. Enjoy. It's a couple minute clip. Don't go nowhere. You're watching TLS Talks.
You know what's surprising is that confidence grows from something deeper, self-trust. Where we don't trust ourselves, it's very hard to feel confident about what we're doing. Now, what this can look like in real life is trusting the decisions that we make. And I know as a parent, I work on the philosophy that I try and make the best decisions with the skills I have and the things I know at that particular point in time. I might look back in a week and go, oh my God, that was a terrible decision. But when I made it, I was working with what I had. I was trusting myself and backing myself. And it's okay if things don't work out so well in hindsight. We can only do the best with what we have at that particular point in time. Which leads to my next point, which is we need to be learning from our mistakes. And how do we do that? It's not just from acknowledging that we've done the wrong thing. It's also from reflecting and recognizing what actually happened. How was that different from my operating field at the time? Were there other things at play I didn't know about? And what could I remember for next time? Maybe I've got some other strategies I could try or practice beforehand, so I'm not in a reactive mode. The other part of this, which is really important, is honoring our own instincts. Quite often we get caught up in worrying about what other people might think of us, what they might think of our choices or decisions, or perhaps we're worried that we've got it wrong, that we wouldn't know as much as someone else because we're not as experienced, or they've got more expertise and more certificates and everything else. Trusting our instincts and ourselves is really important, but it can be really difficult when you're not used to connecting with them. And I know it took me a lot of work to be able to connect more effectively with mine. I'd spent so many years working out in my mind, in my field of operating out here, and I wasn't connected with my body. And it took a lot to bring myself back in. And, you know, there's still a place I go. I've had years of that habit. But now I know how important it is and I can bring myself back in. And when I remember, and practice helps us remember, I can just check in with my body, say, does this feel like the right decision? Because like it or not, our body is where we store so much of our memories, our knowledge, our emotions. Everything is within our body. Whether that is in a chemical sense or as an electromagnetic, whatever sense, it is in our bodies. This is our storage compartment. That practicing accessing that is what is going to help our own trust in ourselves and our decisions to grow, which in turn will build our confidence in ourselves and in how we're acting in the world. I'm Tanya Rutherford, and this is Queen Bee Rising.
All right, welcome back, and thank you, Queen Bee, for that video. So trusting yourself, and it's really interesting. Good morning to you, Miss Wilson. Great to have you with us. You're not late, you're right on time, and so feel free to help us spread the word and share the link to today's episode across various platforms. But it's interesting to know that, a lot of people will talk to me sometimes, especially in my psych class. I have a lot of students who will come and say things like, Dr. Strayhorn, I want to be confident in speaking. I want to be confident in my work. I want to be confident, and I'm not. And I'll tell them, one of the things that's really interesting, as was mentioned in the video, is that confidence grows from this place that's thought of or often misunderstood, and that is, we don't just build confidence from external forces. Some people, psychologically, we talk about confidence grows from external validation. One way you can get confident is to do something and people praise you for it. So validation, confirmation, celebration, that boosts people's confidence. Another way that you might build your confidence, or what we call in psychology, efficacy. If it's confidence about yourself, we would typically call it self-efficacy, is when we typically will say, well, if you want to build your confidence, you have to watch other people. Believe it or not, one way to build your confidence is what we call, sort of observation. So demonstration. If I watch a person dribble a ball, I don't know how to dribble a ball. If I watch a person do it, then all of a sudden I am I'm more confident in my ability to do it, only because I watch someone else do it. If I watch someone else run a podcast or speak or drive a car, that's why driver ed has the student driver watching an experienced driver drive, because there's research that shows that's an effective way of teaching people how to drive. Have them watch someone drive. So you can observation, you can watch people. Here's another thing, external validation. I do it, I get feedback, and the feedback is affirming or is confirming. But in that video's point, there's also some stuff that you can do more internally to boost your confidence. You can believe in yourself. You can try it yourself, what we call mastery experiences. Like, I'm a piano player, and when I was first learning how to play the piano and the keyboard, I would watch my piano instructors. I had a couple of them, Ron Harris, Gloria Phaeton. Anyway, I would watch my piano instructors play. And by watching them play, because they made it look so simple, all of a sudden I'm starting to feel more confident in my own ability to do it. I can't play necessarily any better. I just feel confident in my ability to play because they demonstrated that it's possible to do it, to learn. And so so that's part of it, is that you have to watch other people. But the other thing is you got to roll up your sleeve and do it yourself. That mastery experience is what we call practice makes perfect, allows you to boost your confidence. So when life's, or you're going through a period where you're between blessings, between jobs, between opportunities, between seasons, and you're trying to figure out what's next, one way that you can start to move through that season, of course, is to watch other people. Talk to someone who's gone through that kind of moment. Talk to the last person who retired about what they did to figure out what they would do in post-retirement. Talk to someone who left their job. You don't have to just talk to people like face-to-face or through text. You can watch YouTube videos where people are talking about that transition in life, or you can even read people's writings about what it was like for them to, after they finished their doctorate, after they finished their master's, how they got ready to do what they were going to do next. So all of that experiencing through other people. But the other thing is to turn back to yourself and believe in your own ability to chart a plan for this new season. Try some things out. I mentioned earlier, I've been working on some videos. I hope I can pull one up just to show, to tap into another market with the belonging work, and it's really with kids. And before I started working on my first video for kids, I had to watch a bunch of videos for kids. That's that observation, sort of watching other people. And then I had to try it. and then get some feedback from people. And that feedback was helpful for me modifying or revising what I had done. But then after all of that, I had to, one, believe that I could do it, believe that, my ideas are worth kids' consideration. I had to try it, roll up my sleeve and just give it a try. And of course, the video that I just posted on YouTube for my first kids video is not the first attempt. There were many, many, many failed attempts. I won't say fail because you fail forward, as my president says, not fail back. So they were all steps toward the successful video, but I had to experiment and try. And so this is part of the work that we must do. Tap into our resources, practice in public. All of it can build self-confidence. Yep, that's exactly right. And all right, pulling this up. And then that consistency becomes the key. So let me see if I can do this real quick. How do I best? If this does airdrop, we are in for a treat. Works perfectly. All right. So let me do this just to show you all. I don't know if it's going to let me upload this because I won't do it that way. I'll do it this way. All right, check this out. This is a video that I made. It's just one of a series that I'm trying to really get to communicate to kids, mostly, I'm going to say kindergarten to 10, about belonging, core messages of belonging and the like. And then when we get back, I'll get back into today's topic around being strong and needing support.
Jordan's first day. The busy school feels very big. When Jordan shares an idea, everyone listens with kind, curious faces. Jordan's family celebration is welcomed, just as it is. At recess, Jordan joins the game and notices someone else alone. Belonging means knowing, I matter here, and helping others feel it.
All right. So cute little videos like that. Some of them will be longer. That one's just a teaser to see if, like test the market or people coming to the channel. Could they come to the channel for kids videos? But then building it out, the longer one is around the fact that belonging is about being connected to other people. And so it's talking to kids about making friends, being kind to their friends, supporting their friends, showing up for them in that way. All right, let me transition here because I want to get into more of today's topic. And then I know that folks have the whole day ahead of them. Thank you, Miss Wilson. Yes. And you stay tuned because not only will I have this, I'm learning the craft. So it's a lot of work that goes into this, but the craft of having the voiceover on the video. But now my next goal is to have the characters talking so that I'm able to script out for kids these conversations around belonging. But anyway, all right. So I have not yet seen our guest, and sometimes life happens. So since we're here, and you have to be also ready, as my first lady, the late Helen Hughes Clark, used to say, I'm going to use this time to go ahead and get into the content of the information. And talk about the topics that I would have talked about with Papa Don the poet. If he shows up, I will pivot and bring him into the conversation. If he does not, then I will simply reschedule him, and of course, sending good vibes his way but we're going to talk a little bit about what happens when the strong person needs somebody to be strong for them, is what the point of it was. And his story, his life story really gets to that. So, you know, I was in Baltimore, Maryland this week, and I gave a talk at Morgan State University. So, high five for, oh my gosh, look at all this. Great. I was like, what is this? I hear ding, ding, ding. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Kimmy. Okay, I appreciate that. I'm gonna need y'all, all of y'all who subscribe to the channel, who listen to the show. If you know any kids who are between the ages of birth and 10, or parents who have kids between the ages of birth and 10, I want you to do me a favor, go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Terrell Strayhorn, hit enter, find the 2 videos that I've posted for kids, send it to their kids, tell their kids to watch it, tell their parents to watch it, tell their parents to send it to the teachers. We got to get it out there. Once I get a series or a set out there, then I'll go after my first classroom and district to see if they will use it in the classroom. And I'm actually a part of a partnership that I think might work. But anyway, appreciate it. And absolutely, I'm taking you on that, Miss Wilson. I'll be following up with you on LinkedIn. I need some voiceovers because, as you can tell, the voiceovers are not me. Okay, and Kimmy too. All right, I got 2 voiceovers, and y'all think I'm kidding. I got the content. There's so many lessons I want to teach kids about belonging, and somehow I've got to tie this back to who was my inspiration. It was my own daughter's daughter, my grandbaby Kinsley, who was talking to me about school and friends, and she helped me realize that, like, belonging matters even when you're in kindergarten. You know, you want to make friends, you want to be accepted, you want to be respected as smart and capable, and you don't want people to judge that whether you're black or brown or tall or short or thin or whatever, that you are not part of the group. And these are her words, her stories just reminded me, like, man, this is a message got to get out there. Anyone who studies belonging knows that's all the message of belonging. So how do you do it in a way that's storified so that it's not like, hello, my name is Terrell, I'm telling kids you need to belong, but rather they learn through these stories, these vignettes, that they do matter. All right. So yes, you can share on Facebook. And you know what? You just inspired me, I think. Because the other thing you can do, I got 2 voiceovers. Other thing I wouldn't mind getting from folks is ideas, if you have them, and I'll tell you where to send them, about other pieces of this, conversations, topics. Because what Kinsley did through her conversation with me is she helped me remember, like, what is the average kindergarten, first grader, second grader thinking about? It's been some time since I was in those grades. And so I appreciate her for helping me remember that, calling my attention to it. I want to do one more and then I'll move on. Yes, you can share it on Facebook. The way to do it is, I could share it on Facebook, and I might from the Do Good Work pages, but you could even share it and say, hey, check out TLS Talks, check out Terrell and Do Good Work's latest video, even for kids, and just drop the link. And the cool thing about that is when you do it on Facebook, it will convert the link into the video. So yes, share this link. I'm just grabbing the link from YouTube. You can grab it from the chat. But let me share this last video to show you where I am. I've got many more of these already in the works, so I'm happy to. It's going to start immediately, but I probably will stop it and then restart it so you can see the whole video. Let's see.
It feels a giant kite challenge.
All right, let's go back. And I actually want this in full screen mode. There we go. Enjoy.
Mr. Lee reveals a giant kite challenge, and everyone gathers excitedly. Leo believes asking for help means he has failed. The wobbly frame collapses, and Leo finally accepts a little help. When one friend feels stuck, the whole team cares. Mr. Lee gives everyone a role, and a team chooses we. Maya holds paper, Jordan tapes, Zuri fixes ribbons, and Leo connects sticks. Leo discovers that building together is easier and more fun. When Zuri's ribbon droops, her friends quickly help fix it. The repaired kite rises, and Leo proudly says, "We did it." Cheer for a friend's success, because we are better together.
All right. So that's the second one. And like I said, there's more to come. But yes, let's do that. Let's make this impactful. I'm with you. And I'll be reaching out. And I agree. You know, it's like that one is really about this idea that, again, inspired by someone who's been there, done that, was talking about like asking questions and not wanting to feel like if she asked a question, she didn't know, or she was silly. These are her words. She was stupid. And I was like, no, you're not stupid because you ask questions. Smart people ask questions. But you know, that's teacher language. It's not something that kids believe and know. And then the other thing, and I'll stop on this point, is I was listening to her videos. She watches YouTube a lot. And I was listening to her videos and I was like, they were talking about crazy stuff. I mean, first of all, they were cussing and talking about hurting people, harming people, you know, lying to people. And I thought, let me see what you're looking at. And it looks like a cartoon. It looks like a kid's video, but it is not a kid's video. So I agree. First grade niece, Kinsley, the kids of the world need us. And so we'll be reaching out. More to come there. Let me get back to this topic so we're not too far off. And then we'll come back. We'll close out with a video and a song, and then we'll be done for the day. So what I had planned on, let me just double check that I don't have my guests here. Okay. But what I had planned on talking about, or what we're going to talk about, is this idea that when lifes, so to speak, we often have to be strong, but to understand that it's okay to be strong and still need support. It's okay to be smart and still ask questions. It's okay to be in charge and still delegate and get people's help. Being strong is not the same as being okay. And I think this is something that I had to really speak with a colleague of mine this week, literally on like Tuesday or Wednesday, about, because they felt like because they're in a particular role, they have a particular title, they're the leader, that it's not okay for them to be sad, to struggle, to be emotional about things that are happening in their life. Some of us have gotten so good at functioning that people mistake our functioning for flourishing. Practical example. This person who I was talking to is going through a very, very, very difficult, when I say very difficult, I mean the kind of divorce that makes a movie, where nothing is working out. There's no agreement. The other party's contesting everything. They're facing a lot of loss because of this, but yet they're expected to come to work, and the way they've been approaching it is pretending like everything is fine, to the point where many people don't even know that they're going through a divorce. They even go to work and people will say, "How is so-and-so?" And they'll say, "Oh, they're fine," right? Some of us have gotten so good at faking the funk or functioning that people mistake our functioning or even our faking as flourishing. We answer emails, we show up to work, we take care of everybody else, we post a smiling picture, we wave and say goodbye, and then we go home emotionally exhausted, psychologically overspent, spiritually empty, and struggling because we spent our day trying to help everybody around us live their best life while our life falls apart all around us. Put a 100 in the chat if you've ever had people tell you, I didn't know you were going through all of that. Or if you've ever said to somebody, I didn't know you were going through all of that. Just put something in the chat, a 100 or thumbs up or whatever. We have become, as a society, we become so good at masking. I just was invited to speak on a podcast. When it happens, I'll put it on the channel so you all can tune into that person's show. But they've asked me to be on the show, and it's something about unmasking the truth. And it's really trying to get to, from a psychological perspective, how do we get people to take those masks off? I'm not saying you go to work and tell everybody like, hey, I'm going through the world's worst divorce ever. Maybe that's not you. I mean, I'm a pretty private person. I don't typically invite everyone into my problems and my struggles. And I'm not saying that you have to, but there is some good in letting someone into your world. Maybe you don't tell them at work, but you should tell your psychologist. Maybe you don't tell them all the time, but you tell your therapist. Maybe you don't tell your supervisor, but you tell your pastor. You don't tell your pastor, but you tell your parents. You don't, you got to tell someone. You don't tell your parents, but you tell your partner. You can't hold it all in because the human body is like a container. It can hold a lot. Each of us have our own sort of capacity and limits, but at some point we do rupture, explode. So one is that we've become really good at masking and missing the fact that being good, you know what I'm gonna do? Y'all are listen, high five and hugs to all of y'all today. I love this. I'm gonna just put all the chat on the table, on the screen, so that you all can, yes, Miss Wilson, that is the goal, already in the works. So let's get the videos good. The videos are an on-ramp to the book. Absolutely. Yeah, being strong is not the same. Good to see you, Dr. Williams. All right, y'all, keep it coming, because this is how do you care without caring? Okay, we're going to come back to that one. And I see lots of 100. So I want to put this up here, and then what I'm going to do so that I can get through these points and you all can comment. A lot of girls are picked on because of their hair. Yeah, so addressing hair. I love those ideas, addressing hair and style of dress and being different. Okay, keep them coming, but let me tag this thing right here that keeps them all on the stage. All right. So yeah, we have become so good at just masking the truth and pretending like it's okay. And one of the problems is that then makes people think that you're okay and flourishing when actually you're just barely functioning, that you're just okay, and they start thinking that you're strong, which means they don't reach out for support. Now, for those of us who are adults and working in work settings or in the society, that means people don't lend support, they don't offer a hand, they don't reach out. For students, it means that the academic advisor doesn't reach out or intervene when in fact they probably would have, but you're walking around so confident as if you are flourishing when you are barely functioning. And then for those of us in love relationships, it sometimes means that your partner doesn't assist, isn't there, present in the moment, because they assume that everything's okay. So the question then comes to mind: who checks on the person that everyone depends on? And probably at the top of this year, I found myself, it had to be the top of the year. It wasn't very far into January before I started really thinking. I was feeling a little exhaustion from the year before, 2025. I was excited about 2026, but I felt like I had a lot of irons in the fire. A lot of people depended on me. And when I was really starting to take stock of who needs me for what, when, where, how did I get there? Who did I volunteer myself, or was I voluntold? Or is it part of my contractual job situation? Or is it something that I've taken on that is not my assignment? As I started taking stock of all of that, I realized that one of the gaps for me is that I had stepped into this place where a lot of people depended on me, but very few people felt a need to check on me. Part of it's my own doing because I was always, yep, I can get it done. Yep, there it is. Yep, no problem. All good. I got it. It's all well. And even when it was, kind of thin and tight, I still projected confidence. And so people don't typically check on those who, sort of reflect that level of stability and in control and whatever. And again, I'm not saying I should have said, oh my gosh, I'm sinking here, but I could have said to someone, hey, I'm feeling a little pressure, I need some assistance. Hey, how are things going? This is a demanding time for me where I'm getting through everything, but I am juggling a lot. Those kinds of more grounded, real talk, reality kind of check-ins, then, and let's the other person know, hey, maybe check on me in a day or two, check on me in a week. We celebrate the strong friend. Many people call the strong person. We lean on the strong friend, the prayer partner, the one who's got it. But who calls them when they have nothing left? And to me, this is going right back to the point of belonging, whether it's the kids' videos or the adult videos, maybe not adult videos, that might suggest something different. The videos for broader audiences connect this, belonging is connected to this principle because belonging isn't about just being needed. As I said earlier in the show, some people say, well, I know they feel it. I'm working on a book. I just finished a book. It's called Student Sense of Belonging and Involvement in College. It is available, just dropped on August 6th. I haven't gotten my physical copy yet, but I know that it really does exist. It is out. And some folks who have ordered it, I don't know if I've seen anyone post that they have their copy yet, but it just came out. Let me see if I can, by Bloomsbury. And I'm really proud of this book. One, it took a lot of work to get it finally done and published to the point where people can get it. How do I get that off the screen? Here. Yeah, there it is. So, oops. What just happened? Student Sense of Belonging and Involvement in College, 2026, August 2026. And in this book, it's really different chapters talking about the importance of involvement, the role that it plays, how people create conditions where students can feel that true sense of belonging. Anyway, I'm working on finishing another book on workplace belonging. The book is done, but I'm just doing the edits and all. And in that book, I met quite a few people and interviewed, surveyed quite a few people who feel like, there's supervisors who felt like staff members felt a sense of belonging because people needed them, because they played an important role, because they had a big title. And then when you interview that person or survey that person, you find they don't feel a sense of belonging because belonging isn't just being needed. It's truly even more so about knowing that you matter, you're respected, you're cared for, you're loved. And so if people only value what you do for them, that's usefulness, not necessarily belonging. If people only value what you do for them, that's utilitarian perspective, utilitarianism, usefulness, utility, not necessity, identity, and respect, which is what belonging is about. But interestingly, sometimes we get in environments and work in spaces and places where, these questions and what we're looking for and what we think might be the case is not really what's given. that we might go to work thinking that we're going to have support from people and we don't get that support. We go to work thinking we're going to have collaborators when we actually get competitors. We go to church and we think we're going to have fellow, congregants, and you find competition even at church, whether you're on the usher board or the choir, people are competing. And so we need these spaces where we're not competing, but we're collaborating, especially in these moments where life is hard, where we're having to rebuild after loss of trust, loss of a loved one, loss of love, or where we feel betrayed by others. I don't know about you, but one of the things that we see a lot in psychology that has the greatest impact on the person, I'm talking deep kind of trauma hurt, is when a person is hurt by a person whose love they thought was guaranteed. So anyone calling you a name, not following through on their promises, being mean to you, not supporting you, not showing up for you, any of that can hurt a human, because we're wired to in a way where we want love and kindness and support and friendship and connection and unity, right? But the deepest hurt that really gets embedded in our systems as trauma, something that needs to be treated, worked through, and it can have long-term impact, is when a person gets hurt by a person whose love they thought was guaranteed. We could be talking about a best friendship. We can be talking about a family member. We could be talking about a close colleague, a trusted confidant, a right hand, an advisor, or even a love relationship, right? That in that Workplace Belonging book, one of the stories I remember, I think, is a business owner who has a business partner who betrays them. I mean, they had basically shared all of the codes, all of the secrets, all of the trade secrets, all of the passcodes, all of the finances, everything for the company with this person. They were their business partner. This person started the business and then ultimately decided they wanted a business partner, got this business partner. They grew their relationship for a time. And then they got to a point where this particular business owner thought they weren't keeping secrets. So he told them all, told the other person everything. But then that person ended up using that information to one day not only leave the business to start their own, to take employees from their business to join their separate business. So now he's sort of stealing talent, is the way that person talked about it. And then third, created an immediate competition by using the trade secrets and the codes and the things that they had built together to build better on their own. And so in this interview, they're talking about the pain of realizing they were betrayed in that way. And sometimes, I mean, of course, that's a special kind of pain when the person you expected to catch you cuts you, or when the person that you expected to help you hurts you, or the person who you thought would lift you up becomes part of the reason why you fall. And again, I don't know about you, but I've certainly been in situations where, either love relationships or friendships where, I came to a place where I believed this person had good intentions. I could trust them. They would not harm me. And if they tried to harm me, there was a limit to what they would do. And then life had to life and teach me that that's not true for everybody. And so then it created a new me that is more careful and more strategic. And yes, probably at times more guarded. And that trust is not just thrown out on people, but it's, measured out and developed over time. I'm not one who just starts off saying, look, I trust everybody 100% from the beginning until you give me a reason not to trust you. No, I start not trusting most people, and trust is built over time through interactions but everyone's different on that. And there's no right or wrong way to it. It's just to know that we are different. And so in friendships and workships and love ships and family ships, it's good to talk about how we might be different so that we can then work together. But, as I often will tell my life coaching clients, and I tell my students in my psychology classes, when this topic comes up about hurt people, which is true, that, I even offer it to the person in that workplace belonging book, is that we should really strive to avoid making betrayal the end of the story. That somehow betrayal is the lesson. That the only thing I learned from this is that people will hurt you and people will betray you. And so there it is. No, I think there's more to the story than that. And sometimes it's learning more about ourselves than about the other person, and learning more about how to heal. What does it take? What does healing look like for me? What does it take for me to heal? How close am I to a true healing? All of these are important questions. But avoid making betrayal the end of the story when that kind of happens. Someone disappointing you does not give them permission to define you. Usually what I'll try to do is listen to a person, listen to their story, take good notes. And once I identify the betrayal moment, and investigate, who is this person? When did it happen? How long was it happen? Whatever, is to help them realize or look for signs. Is this person, who is often my client or my student or my friend, are they allowing that disappointment to define them? Are they allowing what last broke them to keep them from ever trying to build again? I think the greatest tragedy and loss in life is when we allow what happened to us to define what's possible for us. Many of you might be familiar with the story of the Cambridge professor, Jason Day, love and light to him and his family, of course, and the tragic loss of his life because of that story. And I know that my co-host on Sunday for Do Good Work podcast, Jaquin and I were talking about it yesterday. We may do something with that. But in short, story about a Cambridge professor who was, accused of plagiarism, and for a number of different reasons, Arday, I'm sorry, is his last name, not a day, but ended up being the focus of just so much on social media that he ended up resigning from his job and leaving his professorship in Cambridge, and then ultimately goes through quite a bit of loss and ends up I think it was yesterday they announced that they found him dead. So do want to pause for a moment to honor him in his life. Pretty sad story, but it is also a story, many of the things that are coming out now, many of the things that people are writing, I think some of the stuff that people are writing are just revealing the cold, difficult, mean heart of the world, because people are, I saw something the other day where someone was writing in the comments because of the accusations of plagiarism and how expansive they are. They said they suspect that this may be suicide that is alleged at this point, but someone put he probably plagiarized his suicide note. And I just thought that's so distasteful, because no matter what it reveals to me as a psychologist is that this is a person who came to believe that his life didn't matter, and that whatever happened on his worst day defined him. And I believe that regardless of whatever the accusations are, were, will be at that time, that there's certainly quite a bit more life left. And so if he had just believed that things could turn around or things could get better, maybe perhaps there would have been a different outcome. So to anyone out there who's, struggling, remember, it's okay not be okay. Reach out to the National Help Hotline, dial 888, and get it, because so many times people will make betrayal or pain or trouble or a problem the end of the story, when in fact it's not. There's so much more ahead, that it can get better, it can turn around. All right. And so with that, I think that's because people often will confuse history with the future. They'll confuse history with the present, right? It was this way and it'll always be this way. It was this way and it can't be better. I did an episode, I think it was last week for Let's Talks, did a segment in the professor's podium around hope. Hope is an exciting kind of concept because, and I have a couple of short videos on the channel about it. So if you go to the channel, go to the short section, look for the hope videos and watch them. Hope is an interesting psychological concept. People always kick it around. I hope that things get better. I hope you feel better soon. I hope to buy a car. But hope psychologically is, at least has two parts. One, it is about belief. For you to hope, you have to be able to believe that things can get better, that tomorrow can be better than today, that next year is not predicated only on last year. So if your ability to think and to hope and to process and to dream and dream big and be optimistic, if any of that is compromised, your ability to have true hope is also compromised, because hope stands on your ability, my ability to imagine, to dream, that's why, I was again with my granddaughter, Kinsley, and she talks a lot. And so watching her talk and imagine that there are people that she's talking to, or, she might turn a reclining chair into a spaceship. Some people would say, that's terrible. No, you're not in a spaceship. You're in a chair. I didn't say that to her because I know she knows she's in a chair. I celebrated her wonder, her creativity, her imagination, and then talked to the adults who were around me. And I said, so great that she still has that zest for life. Let's protect that. Let's nurture that, because her ability to hope depends on her ability to dream and to imagine. And today she's dreaming and making a reclining chair into a spaceship, but in 5 years, she might be dreaming and imagining that a C can become an A in a class. And 5 years later, she might be dreaming and imagining that when she's elected president of her student government, she might be president of the United States one day. That ability to hope and dream, we got to preserve in our young people and in our old people. Everybody has to do it. But hope depends in part on belief, the ability to dream, to imagine, to think. The second is hope is not dreaming, though. That's a different word. Dream is just to imagine, dream, blah, blah, blah. But hope, for it to be true hope, you got to be able to imagine a different outcome than what's currently the current state. But secondly, you have to have the ability, the capacity, the desire, the interest to enact a plan to bring that imagined future into fruition. Say it differently. So on the one hand, I got to be in the present and able to imagine a future that's brighter than my present. But on the second hand, I got to simultaneously be able to imagine, enact, create, construct, co-construct a plan for turning my dark day into a bright day, for turning my D into an A, for turning my failure into a success. So it's not just dreaming on nothing. It's also having the ability, the capacity, the desire to enact a plan to get there. And so when people start confusing history with the future, then we bring in hope. Hope becomes yet another way of dealing with life when life's, being resilient, turning things around, that when you are betrayed or hurt or harmed, you don't have to stay there. That's why it doesn't have to be the end of your story, because you got hope. Hope says, yeah, I was betrayed today, and I don't have to be bitter about it. Like, I've had a situation where someone promised they were going to give me money, pay me back, and they have not done it. And, you know, they text me about it. They wrote me about it. They talked to me about it. And I provided all the information they needed to make it happen. To date, they have not done it. I've reached out once and they sort of pushed me to the side. I reached out a second time. They had another excuse. They pushed me to the side. To date, I have not heard from them. Okay, so do I think, what's my level of confidence that I'm going to be paid back at this point in time? Well, based on my history, I'm worried because it's unlikely that I will be paid back. Why? Because I have other friends. One of my friends named Tanya, she borrows from me periodically. We've been friends for life. And but the good thing about her is if Tanya says to me, hey, can I borrow something on a Monday? I'm gonna give it back to you on a Wednesday. Wednesday, when I wake up, probably even before I wake up, I'm gonna hear ding. That's my Cash App or my PayPal or my Venmo or my Zelle or something going off because Tanya's paying me back. I don't have to text her. I don't have to ask her. I don't have to beg her. I don't have to send her an invoice. She just is good about that. She's a woman and a friend of integrity. Therefore, whenever she asks me for something, I have high confidence she's going to pay me back. It's been that way, and we've been friends for over 20 years. On the other hand, I have dealt with people who will say they're going to pay you back, and then you got to write them, you got to invoice them. You almost have to take them to court if you're willing to go that far in order to get the money back. So this current situation is feeling more like that, which diminishes my confidence. Now, am I hopeless? No, because I can believe in people getting better. I can believe in people actually doing what they're supposed to do in the final hour. I do have trust. If you put, you ask enough, you give people. When people coming up, when I was growing up, they would say, kill them with kindness. Sometimes it brings out the kindness in people and they deliver on what they were supposed to do. So I do believe in that. But the second thing is I got to have an action plan. So what happens if they don't? What happens if they don't respond back? Am I going to respond? Am I going to follow up? Am I going to reach out? Am I going to ask other people to help me do that? All of that comes into place. And so these beliefs and plans, beliefs and action go together to create hope that is a major way of driving through. And then let me do these last couple and then I'll bring it on home. And that is one, we talked about this earlier, reciprocity does matter both in relationships, but also when trying to really rebuild after loss or after betrayal or after you have to start over. That it's not just checking on people and realizing that betrayal is not the end of the story. It's also making sure that you're getting back from some people or from people what you give out to them, right? You can't keep pouring champagne into relationships that keep giving you an empty glass because you will eventually run out of champagne. Maybe y'all don't drink champagne. You can't keep pouring pineapple juice into relationships broadly conceived that keep handing you an empty glass every time they want you to do it. You're the one who has to call. You're the one who has to travel. You're the one who has to stay at their house. You're the one who has to apologize. You always pray. You're always the initiator. You always have to encourage. You always have to explain. That will drive you to your point of exhaustion. It will exhaust you. It will deplete you to the point where you have nothing else. That's why healthy relationships, friendships, courtships, relationships, leaderships, workships, techships, where you text people. I don't know, whatever. Kinship, where you're dealing with your family, your own kids. Reciprocity matters. Now, reciprocal doesn't mean equal, because maybe you're in a situation where this other person has more time to call, more time to text. I was talking to someone maybe 2 days ago, and I was in the middle of a major work experience, a work meeting. And they text. I didn't see it because I was focused. And then when I finally saw it, I said, hey. And then they said, took you forever to respond. I said, oh, I'm at work. And then they responded back and said, okay, well, how's your day? Again, I didn't see it because I was in the middle of something very, very big at work. And then I said, oh, my day's going well. How's your day? Oh, my gosh, it takes you so long to respond. Why does it take you so long to respond? See how promptly I respond to you? It takes you so much longer than me. And da, 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 da. And they just went berserk. And I just remember texting back something like, I'm sorry you feel that way. As I mentioned 5 texts ago, I'm at work. It was during the workday. 2, I'm in the middle of a very, sort of long and significant work activity right now. And I cannot text. They said, but I'm making time for you. You should make time for me. I'm trying to text it. And then I said something like, don't break it before it's even built. This is a, new friend who we haven't even known each other that long yet. And I'm like, calm down. But and I said to them, look, if you have a problem with how often I'm texting and how long it's taking right now, and I've only known you less than a week, you may as well go ahead and delete me and block me, because I'm going to drive you crazy, because my life is complicated. When I'm on my phone, I can be on my phone. When I'm not on my phone, I can't be on my phone. There are a lot of times, hey, if I'm on a plane, I can text, but I can't call. You can't call when you're on a plane. I spend a lot of time on planes. When I'm in the classroom teaching a class, I don't get on my phone and interrupt my class for anyone but my mother, my kids, and my family, immediate family. And then the rest, I just got to send you the voicemail while I'm teaching the class. That's it. But, otherwise, what does this mean? We have to set those boundaries. And I want to come to boundaries. That's the 6th point. But the one I'm talking about right now is reciprocity. So, the question you have to ask yourself in any ship is, if I stop doing what I'm doing, if I stop doing all the work, would the relationship still exist? If I stop calling, if I stop driving over to their house, if I stop planning the events, if I stop sending the good morning text, if I stopped calling at night, would we have anything at all? And if the answer is no, it's imbalanced. And there's some work that needs to do. Now you got to decide, is the relationship important enough to where you want to balance it? Or is it not so important that you can just sort of cut it off cold turkey? You have to decide that, not me. But if you say, hey, if I stop doing what I'm doing, does the relationship still exist? You say, yeah, because they're still doing, then that's good. There's reciprocity, there's balance there. So you have to set those boundaries, and boundaries are not bitterness. Sometimes healing sounds like I need some distance. Healing sounds like, just give me a few days to work through this, to recover. Sometimes healing even sounds like this: no. And sometimes growth in a relationship or growth in understanding yourself is not getting closer. It's actually getting distant from people, because you realize, you learn more about your expectations, your needs, your boundaries, your limits, your non-negotiables. And you realize that in order for you to be healthy, to be wise, you need that space. And sometimes peace requires having the courage to say, not now, not today, no, not here. And so if you can figure out the reciprocity piece, and the reciprocity says to a person who's not giving, hey, I'm setting some boundaries. I feel like I'm the only one calling. I'm the only one visiting. I'm the only one staying over. I'm the only one paying. I'm the only one praying. And therefore, if this relationship is serious, I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to give it some time and see if you rise to the occasion. I had a friend who, we're both busy and live complicated lives, complicated in the sense that we got work, we got things we're doing. But I have a friend who I found myself texting very quickly, like, hey, good morning. How you doing? How's work going? And like the first day or two, they were responsive. By day 3, there were long waits. And then when they would respond, I wouldn't say like, oh, it took you forever to respond. I'd be like, oh, I'm sure you had a busy day, and I would respond. By day 4 or 5, I was starting to feel some kind of way. Like I'm putting more in than they're putting in, which is okay, because sometimes you might like a person, you might want to be a friend with the person, you may be, romantically interested in the person who's not feeling that for you, and that's okay. But people should, I think, people should tell you, or if you ask, people should be honest. So, I communicated about it and said, hey, look, I've noticed this pattern of behavior. I'm good. I've got a complicated life, big life. You got a big life. Cool. I'm going to lay back. And what I watched happen was when I laid back, they stepped up. So before you know it, I was waking up to good morning texts. Hey, what are you doing today? Got time for a call later, right? So by me having the courage to step back and put some distance and set some boundaries, it created space for them to step up and into and do their part. And so just know that sometimes stepping back, sitting back, or starting over isn't necessarily giving up or starting from zero. I think this is when life knocks you down, whether it's a job loss or heartbreak or financial trouble, housing problems, betrayal. You may have to start again. You may have to get up again. You may have to try again, but you're not starting empty-handed, because you're carrying with you, as I have covered over this episode, the experience, the wisdom, the scars, the relationships, the skills, the lessons, all of the things that you got from that. So even if the person I was alluding to earlier never pays me back the money that she promised to give me, and I never get it, I won't be bitter. It won't keep me from loaning to people in the future, or giving to people in the future, or, living life in the future. I will not allow that betrayal to bury me. What I will do is I'll move forward with optimism and hope and energy and excitement, carrying the experience, the wisdom, yes, the scars of that relationship and what I learned from it with me, to know I'm not starting over, I'm starting again, or I'm continuing with new information, so that I will know that hurt people can hurt people, and everybody who says they're a person of integrity is not a person of integrity. That you have to, in the church, we would say, try the spirit by the spirit. We got to try the fruit by the fruit. You got to, Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, you have to believe them. You got to listen to people, watch them. If a person drops the ball today and they drop the ball, everybody's got a bad day, an off day. They might drop the ball, might make a promise they don't deliver on. But if they don't deliver on the promise today, if they don't deliver on the promise next month, if they don't deliver on the promise in 6 months, you have found a person who does not have integrity. Their words do not matter. What they say does not influence what they do, and they have created a life where they are adjusted to it. They are comfortable with it. So then going forward doesn't mean you can't be in community with them. You might choose to be in community with them. Someone may even choose to be in relationship with them, but you ought to choose to be in community and relationship knowing, 1, I'm dealing with a person who lacks integrity. 2, I'm dealing with the person whose word is not their bond, as my mom often says. So when they say stuff, don't believe them all the time. Wait until to see how they're going to move. Don't be surprised when they let you down. Don't be surprised when they say I'm going to pay you back and not pay you back, right? All right. So what are you rebuilding right now? And I know, like I said, I talked earlier in the week with a couple of friends of mine, Kentucky, California, a couple places. What are you rebuilding right now? Is it a career? Is it trust? Is it family? Is it finances? Your confidence, your sense of faith? or a dream. Maybe somebody watching today needed permission to just admit, I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired of wearing a mask. And just hear me, you don't have to stop being strong. But I do encourage you to stop believing that strength means you have to pretend. That strength means you have to do it alone. And that strength means you can't admit the struggle. Real belonging is having someone you don't have to perform in front of to be loved. Real belonging is having somewhere you can go and you don't have to produce to be valued. You don't have to pretend to be okay to be accepted. Real belonging requires that. So this week, check on your strong people, check on the helper, check on the leader, check on the one who's always starting the prayer circle, check on the person who always says, I'm good. And maybe today that person is you. I want you to be sure that you're checking on people this week. I gave you some homework the other week. And so I'm going to do the same this week so that by the time we get together next episode, I'll know who is out there and doing these things. So you've got to, I'm going to pull this up for you as we close out. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for getting all the numbers so high today. We had a good, strong showing across all the platforms. And so let me show this, and then I'll go back and look at some of the questions in the chat real quick before we close out. All right. So we talked about the importance of words and connecting with folks and understanding the importance of reciprocity and setting boundaries and not start. But the takeaway, one of the takeaways today is really the power of words. Words shape our reality. They heal or they hurt. They can carry energy, drive action, and connect us. They certainly leave a legacy. And I'll post this on social media so you can check it out, because there's some example of the words that are there. So how do you care without caring? I think that's what we've been talking about is, it's okay to care. It's okay to express empathy, to say, hey, my love and light to you. My heart goes out to you. I hope you feel better. I'm keeping you in mind, but also putting that in a place, right? So letting people know, like, I care for you, but your assignment is not to carry everyone's struggle or carry everyone's pain. You got to know what you're assigned to and what you're not assigned to. So it might just be to send a card or to send a nice text or to pray with the person or to send them or to, answer the call and just sit with them while they think through some of the things, but not to carry it to where now it's impacting your day and now you've moved on and you're thinking through this and now you're in the hole with them. I've said this example before in psychology programs, graduate psychology programs. Many of those folks are going off to be therapists, counselors, coaches, whatever. They teach us that one of the most important things for us to do as a therapist, as a counselor, as a psychologist is to get close to people. We got to be close to people. Proximity does matter. We have to listen to our clients. We got to pay attention to what they need. Many of those who will come to seek our care they will describe as in a hole. They're facing depression. They're facing anxiety. They're in a bad spot. Life is life, and they lost a job. They lost a loved one. They lost their sense of confidence. They lost their hope. To help them, we have to stay close to them, which means we got to get close to the hole that they're in, but we do not get in the hole. It means to sort of the visual. I got to find that visual. They showed me in one of my grad classes. It was really powerful. It's a therapist, a counselor, a coach, a pastor, a mentor who's at the top of this hole in the ground. The person's in the hole in the ground, but the therapist, the counselor, the mentor, the friend is at the top above ground, but really close to it, kind of hollering down some positive words, some therapies, some supports, some affirmations. But the thing you don't want to do is climb in that hole to where now both of you need to be rescued or helped. So that's how you get around. That's how you care. But don't carry. All right. I'm going to have to go back through the chat to see all the wonderful things y'all have said up here. Is amazing. Yeah, attachment style. That's a good one. You know what I'll do? I'm going to make a video about that. Attachment styles, and I'll probably put it in an upcoming professor's podium. That's a big topic that can be discussed in terms of this relationship. You know, we did the whole 5 love languages. I'm going to also do a series on Strengths Quest, knowing what our strengths and our assets are. And I'm going to have someone join us as an expert on that. But yeah, love it. Love it. Hello. How are you, Dr. Joel Davis Carter? All right. So we're good. We're good. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Listen, I cannot even put into words how satisfying this episode was today. It was just great to got to figure out how to get that thing off the back of this, but I'll work on that between now and next week. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Happy Saturday to each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning into the show. We're ready to go. It's been a full show. It's been a full day. Appreciate all of your engagement, all of your comments. If you have not already, do me a favor. The numbers are growing, so I'm so grateful to you. Go to the channel on YouTube, like, subscribe. Tell everybody in your family, everybody in your network, all your sorority sisters and fraternity brothers, go like and subscribe to the channel. It does make a difference because we have hit the threshold. We're beyond 1,000 subscribers. We've got over 160 videos posted. And now we're just trying to do that last piece. And then we kick over into like a whole different kind of spread on the YouTube channel. So appreciate y'all for your support there. Listen, thank you for tuning into this episode. Appreciate you for being here. When life gets real, when you have to rebuild, follow all the things we talked about today. But remember, you are not what happened to you on your worst day. You are not that last betrayal. You are not that last job loss. You are not that last setback. There is so much more for you. All you've got to do is keep smiling, keep shining, and keep doing, as I like to say, keep doing good work. I appreciate y'all for being here. We're going to close in a quick pause for a quick break and commercial, do our closing out song, and I'll see you next Saturday for TLS Talks. Thank you, fam. Happy Saturday.
You're listening to TLS Talks podcast, sponsored by Do Good Work Enterprises, helping people and organizations turn real talk about research, purpose, strategy, and belonging into real life. Whether your organization needs an inspiring keynote, a leadership workshop, a culture and belonging assessment, executive coaching, or more, Dr. Terrell Strayhorn and the Do Good Work team help leaders and businesses move from good intentions to meaningful action. Because good work is not simply what you produce. Good work is about who you are and what changes because you showed up. Learn more today at TerrellStrayhorn.com. Real
talk for real life. TLS Talks. There's a place where you belong. Life, love, business, education. Finding purpose all along. TLS Talks. Come be inspired. Learn and grow. Breathe, believe, choose hope and joy. Let your light and wellness show. TL Star. What's TL Star? Real talk. Real life. New hope. New life. With the people's professor. We're gonna be alright.
TLS Talks Podcast, where courageous conversations come to life. TLS Talks Podcast, powered by StreamYard on Spotify, YouTube, and platforms everywhere.
Don't just want your love when it's all going right. I need you the most in the middle of the night. Love me when it's hard, not just when it's easy. Stay right where you are, even when it's heavy. Love me when I'm low, when I'm falling apart. If you really love me, then love me when it's hard. Love me when it's hard. When the sun don't shine and the money low. When I ain't smiling like you used to know. When I lose my way and I feel unsure. Tell me you still here. Tell me you still sure. Love me when it's hard. Not just when it's easy. Stay right where you are, even when it's heavy. Love me when I'm low, when I'm falling apart. If you really